Namaste, welcome to Mr. Dr. L.S. Ramesh, the author of the book Karya Siddhi Shlokas of Lord Ranganatha, composed by Swami Desikar. And let us look at the background of Dr. Lelapalli Seshachala Ramesh. He is an alumni of the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, with 25-year experience as an academician, software consultant, and lead auditor, quality management professional. He is also a reputed musicologist who has designed the award-winning innovative Sri Saraswati 72 Melakarta Music Chakra. He conducts lecture demonstrations and a number of programs. Many articles of his have been published in reputed journals. And Ramesh has won several awards, which includes Heroes of Chennai, Taruni Mitra Award, Lifetime Achievement Award. He's a spiritual seeker, and both Sridevi and Ramesh have an initiative called FACES, Food, Aid, Clothing, Education, Shelter, through which they support orphanage kids. So now we are on to the subject, and we are also doing an online launch of his book through this program. Very interestingly, I came to know of Dr. Ramesh through my childhood friend, Rajagopal Sriparambadur, who had done his LKG to class 8 along with me at Coimbatore those days. And Rajagopal put me across to Dr. Ramesh and his wife Sridevi. They're wonderful people. And I'm very glad to touch on the subject Paduka Sahasram through this work. Paduka Sahasram was composed by Swami Vedantha Desikar in the 14th century AD perhaps. Desikar lived between 1268 and 1369. And it was during which period and whose lifetime that Lord Ranganatha had to leave Srirangam because of the Islamic invasion connected with Malik Kafur and Ulugh Khan, who later became Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So those invasions necessitated the removal of this icon of Ranganatha, and he was in an exile for 48 years. Lord Rama was in an exile only for 14 years, but his Kuladevata, Ranganatha, was in an exile for 48 years. So Desikar basically was a very noteworthy scholar, and he was none other than the Ganta Avatara of Tirumala. What's really interesting is this book has taken place due to the consequence of a dream. 24th September 2020 is very interesting in the life of the author, simply because it was, a dream which brought him into the other world. And then finally, he managed to get into this world called the world of Paduka Sahasram. I would not like to talk too much about the dream, simply because, the reader should also have that suspense of reading about the dream. Otherwise, Paduka Sahasram is a routine text. So the dream is very, very important here. And L.S. Ramesh has culled out some verses out of the 1,000+ verse Paduka Sahasram. Sahasram means 1,000. And those verses, he has applied them very well. At this point of time, I went to refer my own copy of Paduka Sahasram, which I had purchased from Little Flower Company in the year 1999, priced at rupees 150, written by Dr. V.N. Vedantha Desikar. And what I did was, I took about a year or so to read it with the meaning. In this book, you find the Sanskrit verse and the same thing in Tamil transliteration, then Tamil meaning, then English meaning. That's the approach that has been followed by V.N. Vedantha Desikar. Swami Desikar, was an amazing person. He had spent a lot of time at Tiruvahindrapuram, he had spent time at Tirumala, and he also had spent time at Satyakalam. In Satyakal in Karnataka, a little after Kollegal, that is the place where Swami Desikar spent a lot of time and he meditated. And I've gone to the temple at Satyakal about 2 years ago. It is near the Jagan Mohana Ranganatha temple, Shivasamudram area. In Satyakal, there's an icon of Vedantha Desikar. It is where he had composed the Abhiti Stotram. The Abhiti Stavam is, the country was going through troublous and trying times. So Ranganatha had to help us. Lord Vishnu or Narayana had to help us. And this was composed by Swami Desikar in order to help us get out of those difficulties. So I was fortunate that the Ahobila Mutt at Chennai helped me to get hold of that book, and I read all the compositions found in that book. So the Abhiti Stotram was also read by me along with that meaning. I was going through a bit of a difficult time while those days. And one of my mother's teachers, Srimati Veda Krishna Swami Vedamma, she had been initiated by the 45th year of Ahobila Madam, His Holiness Alagiya Singer Narayana Yatindra Mahadesikan. And she taught me a few verses from the Padaka Sastram along with the initiation verse and the completion verse. Shriman Venkatanatharya Kavitarkika Kesari Vedantacharya Varyo Me Sannidattan Sadakruti. That is the beginning. That's how we are supposed to begin. Then the next verse that she taught me was Santaha Sriranga Prithvisha Sharnatrana Shekharaha Jayanti Bhavanatrana Pada Pankajare Navaha. The next verse that she taught me was Anyeshu Saspati Narendra Suteshu Daivada Drashta Padadadi Karodi Padam Padarha Prayo Nidarshiyati Tat Pratamo Raguna Tat Padayoho Pratinidhi Manipadukeva. Then Madhuram Manipaduke Pravrute Bhavati Rangapate Viharakale Abhayartanaya Samapyapetana Abisamvade Yajiva Manjunataya. Then of course you complete Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha. I even went to Tupul and came, the location which is connected with Swami Desikar, and I read about his story. So this is kind of a miracle for me. Rajagopal, my friend, suddenly sends a message through the phone and I call him up. And after the call, he tells me about Dr. L.S. Ramesh ji. And then I managed to talk with him while he is, in Telangana at Warangal. I have a conversation, it is quickly fixed. And very quickly, the book is made available to me in a matter of 7 or 8 minutes. That shows the speed of the grace of Ranganatha Paduka. The grace of Ranganatha Paduka that Lelapalli Ramesh Garu has harvested, manifested itself in front of me. And what is this Karya Siddhi? See, all of us are human beings. We have some task. When somebody says desire is the root cause of great evil and driving away desire is only important and we should try to drive it away. Driving away desire and wishing to drive away with desire itself is a desire. If we really look at it philosophically, even that itself is a desire. And I must definitely say the author comes from a Smartha background, a Telugu speaking person. And this is a Sri Vaishnavite text, and that too Vadakala Desika Sampradayam, which is very, very, the niyamams are very tough. If you look at the Vaishnavite Sampradaya, the Desika Sampradaya people, the Nityanasandhanam or the daily rituals are very extensive for them. To uphold those rituals, it's not easy. So he has gone through that text and read the 1000 verses, and he has taken out the correct fruits. See, the Padaka Sastram is like a veritable huge tree full of fruits. 1000 fruits. Our author here has taken each of those fruits, seen each of those fruits after climbing the tree, and chosen some fruits and he has given it to us. And that little basket in which these fruits are kept is this book. I have heard of these, and Karya Siddhi Ramayanam. Somebody has to get a child, somebody has to get married, someone's illness has to be made all right. Like this, there are several Karya Siddhi Shlokas. Coming back to this Karya Siddhi, I wish to also talk about the Karya Siddhi work of Saingalipuram Anantaram Dikshitra Garu. Dikshitra has compiled 2 volumes full of stotras, Jayamangala Stotram. Jayam and Mangalam, they will give us the Garbharakshambika Stotram, then when you are in great difficulty, what will you do? Shankachakra Gadapane Dvaraka Nilayachyuta. What Draupadi sang while her sari was being removed by Dusasana. So like that, the Karya Siddhi Stotrams are very important. What is this Karya Siddhi? Is it only wishing for something material? Of course, that is also wished for. But the Hindu religion has goals of life, which are known as the Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So seeking the Purusharthas, seeking salvation, seeking Drida Bhakti. What is Drida Bhakti? The grace and falling at the feet of the Lord and always only thinking of Him. And what is this Paduka? I will talk a little bit about this, then we'll go to a PPT where the author is going to give a brief explanation. This Paduka is nothing but the sandal of Lord Rama. While he was in the forest, Bharata comes to Rama, requests him to come back to Ayodhya, and Rama says, no, I have to. Pitruvakya Paripalanam is very important. I have to listen to my father's words, the promises of my father, and my commitment I have to fulfill, our father. And then Bharata says, I can't go back without you. At least let me take your sandals. So he takes these sandals, he places them on his head, and he walks back to Ayodhya. And in the outskirts of Ayodhya, in a village called Nandigramam, Bharata places these sandals on the throne on which the rulers of Kosala and Ayodhya sit. And he performs a Paduka Pattabhishekam. So for almost 14 years, Bharata rules Ayodhya as the representative of Rama through the Paduka. So what happens? Every day, Bharata will not enter the kingdom, but the Paduka will be placed on the elephant called Shatrunjaya. This elephant will go inside and come back. The Paduka Rajyam, or the representative Rajyam, was in fact supposed to be better than Rama Rajyam itself, they say. So, while reading Paduka Sahasram, there was a lot of enlightenment for me nearly 20 years ago. I was just wondering when which year I read, and when I seem to have completed reading of the Paduka Sahasram on the 1st of May 2001. O people, if you have pure devotion, learn by rote this hymn on Paduka. Remember, this would serve as investment for high standard literary classics, which you would yourselves be able to put forth through connoisseurs of literature, provided they are not out of their senses, would have to receive this work with great enthusiasm. How can they afford to miss the fine aspects of literary merit therein? See, this is the 1007th verse. And after this, I did a small Tirmanjanam for the Padukas at home, and I had a small occasion. I must definitely say the author has done very good justice while talking about, the Padukas. And he says the Paduka Sahasram has 1008 stanzas on the power of the Padukas of the Lord. Definitely. And, the power of the Padukas is, what are the reasons for which you will read? For the realization of Purusharthas, that is the goals of life, where only India defines the goals of life. No other civilization does. For improvement of eloquence, he's already eloquent, but anyway. Then for all-round welfare, for destined bad luck to turn into good luck, for sins to be eradicated and potential for good deeds to grow, for safety and security, for abundance of wealth, for the welfare of newborn and its mother, for benefits within view and within reach to be actually realized. Beautiful. For the removal of troubles haunting the family, to prevent the approach of danger and incidents of mishaps, for the affliction of one's body to leave, for the stabilization of employment, to obtain boons required or sought, to ensure the right thought in one's final moments. Correct? Ajamila did not have proper thought, but what happened was he called out to his son Narayana, 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 and because his son was named after Narayana, Ajamila got Vishnu Dutas and all the Yamadutas went away. Bhagavata Puranam says that. Also, the Varaha Charma Slokam, we can read at any point of life, they say, so that if at the last moment, if somebody is not able to read that or think of Narayana, yet he grants. So, then for the true purpose of one's birth to be fulfilled, to obtain side glances of Bhagavan, to overcome one's fear of one's enemies, for good to result replacing lowliness, mean conditions, for the propitiation of the 9 Graha Devatas, for one's grievances to go and peace of mind to develop, which is greatly required today, for the freeing of one's emotional bonds with one's people, to regain a position or status lost. India lost its status thanks to the intervention of people like Machiavelli. They destroyed the educational cult of India, and we are suffering because of that. Let us hope that with this verse, which is pointed out by Ramesh Garu, Ramesh Ji, that we will regain our status as a preeminent education-based country and wisdom-based country in the world. To be pardoned for one's wrongdoings, knowingly, unknowingly, Kayena Vacha, Manasendriyaiva, Buddhyatmanava, Prakriti Swabhava, Karomi Yatsat Sakalam Parasmai, Sriman Narayanayati, Samarpayami. Kayena Vacha, our body or through our word, Manasendriyaiva, through our thought or through the sense organs. Buddhi Atmanava, Prakriti Swabhava, because of our buddhi or because of the influence of nature. So many bad things that I have committed. Oh, please, Narayana, I submit all of this to thee and you please wipe that slate clean. To get married soon, to develop patience and achieve greatness. Today we are in this hurry, great hurry WhatsApp world. By the second we want to jump. To get mukti, liberation, for the mind to become pure, which is very much required for the job undertaken to succeed. For harmonious reunion of estranged couples. Very, very important today. Marriages are made in heaven, but they pass through hell on earth because of estrangement and wrong perception. For prosperity and well-being to flourish and spread everywhere. 32 verses, these are the 32 lakshanas that a human being should possess, in other words that I may say. And for those 32 lakshanas to come, the Karya Siddhi Shlokas are very, very useful. First, let us come to the first Karya Siddhi, for the realization of all Purusharthas. See, he gives a sankalpa also. With the blessings of Lord Sri Ranganatha, who is along with his consort Sri Ranganayaki, I undertake to recite the Divya Mani Padaka Stotra Shloka for the fulfillment of whatever wishes I have in my mind. Salutations to those noble souls who adorn on their head the Padukas that protect the feet of Lord Ranganatha and who in turn protect the entire world with the dust from their own lotus feet. Padukas here also imply Nammalvar. There refers to the great Acharyas and those who are the recipients of their blessings. Correct. Who is the Paduka? Nammalvar. And who are we? We are all perhaps the Padukas of the Acharyas who are themselves the Padukas of Nammalvar. Lord Narayana's Paduka, Nammalvar, Nammalvar's Paduka, the Acharya, Acharya's Paduka, us. So this is, Santah Sriranga Prithvisha Shana Trana Shekara Jayanti Bhuvana Trana Pada Pankajare Navaha. That's the thing that he has given here. We should salute Bharata, the first example of a Bhakta who was the first to recognize the greatness of the Padukas of Sri Rama and then to spread their greatness all over the world. Ramesh Garu, just as how you got a dream, I must say this is also divine coincidence. Every day while having a bath, I say this Gange che Yamuna Cheva Godavari Saraswati Narmade Sindhu Kaveri Jalesmin Sanitim Guru. While saying that, I imagine Srinivasa Tirumanjanam taking place with both the tayars. And I also see the golden Shatari. And while doing so, last few days, just before I spoke with you, I imagined the Shatari being placed on a sieve, Jallada. And that being placed, that being carried by the priest above the statues of the Alvars and Athivan Satagopa Yatindra Mahadesikan, and where the Tirumanjanam of the Paduka was being done by the priest, and that was flowing on Nammalvar, Tirumangai Alvar, Ramanuja, Desika, and Adivan Satagopa Yatindra Mahadesikan, then carried to the other side to Vishwaksena, then to Hanuman, then to Chakratalvar. So this every day I think of this, but nowhere until the recent past, within the last 10 days only, this is coming in front of me, in my mind's eye. Without doing that, my bath is not complete. So I thought I am very lucky. Then I will imagine myself on the banks of the river Haridwar, in the Ganga in Haridwar, on the steps, one temporary, one mandapam, on which also all these deities are placed. Then Abhishekam is done, Tirumanjanam. Then I'll imagine the Tirumanjanam flowing on the Paduka, Shatari on the Padukas, and then flowing into the Ganga, and then reaching the ocean. So here in the Paduka Sahasram, that is also said how the water poured on this goes to Sarayu, and how Sarayu joins the Ganges, and how the Ganges becomes pure once again, and from there how it goes to the ocean, like a circular economy. Where does the Ganges come from? So the author has, I think like just as how he got a dream, I suppose it is his good fortune, it is my good fortune that I got connected to this through my own imagination. Normally, I have not spoken about this type of prayer and bath that I have in any public forum. But because of this eventful happening, I am compelled to share this information. Therefore, I can definitely say the author's dream is true, where in the dream he sees Lord Narayana and the 7 doors, and then how he goes about it, he has explained. And unless the dream is true, it will not be possible for my friend to contact me first. I have not even heard of him before. And first of all, immediately to do a program. When I spoke with our teammates, they said yes. And also, in my own fertile imagination, suddenly the Padukas are now coming in front of my eyes. And the Shatari particularly, Swarna Shatari. So, this Karya Siddhi, he has given 2 examples. What has happened? He has fallen sick on the 14th of January. And he suffered a lot, the author. I am glad that he has recovered. Ranganatha has given him the opportunity to recover fully. Just as how Ranganatha came back to Srirangam, the author has come back to see us. So, he, that has happened. That is the one of the miracles. The other miracle is a 39-year-old unmarried girl who chanted the relevant stanza for 41 days. And she's now married and well settled. I know a few girls who need to get married and they are not getting married. Now I'm going to take this, whether they want to read it or not. I wish to make somebody else read it on their behalf. With your permission, Ramesh Garu, I'm going to make it.
Please, yes.
So and also the Chitra Bandham is brought out. which he will show through a PPT. The Chitrabandham is very, very interesting. Like, he has taken Swami Desikar's Chitrabandham, and Chitrabandham is a very big art in India, where shlokas, the language, everything, you place the alphabets in a particular form within a lotus or within a chakra or within boxes, or within some diagrams. It can be, like if you use a spirograph and draw something, there also you can place and work through Chitramandam. Am I right, sir? Provided
Correct,
somebody
yes.
knows how to do it. So he has done a lot of this work. I suppose his experience with the Melakarta Ragas and the Chakra and the Chitrabandham thereof must have made this easy for him. So lot of people in today's fast world are not finding enough time to read the entire Paduka Sahasram. I think that it will be good and easier for them to read Lelapalli Ramesh Garu's, Karya Siddhi Stotras on the Padukas of Lord Sri Ranganatha, which is nothing but the Paduka Sahasram. The Paduka Sahasram is a big ocean. He has dived into that ocean. He's used a churner and churned it, brought out the butter from that, and then using his Atma Balam and the grace of Lord Narayana, both the heat of Lord Narayana's grace and the Atma Balam together have converted it into the ghee called this book. Compared to milk, butter, and curds, ghee has a very long life. It can, if left, it can stay for years. We are talking of the aging of scotches, but we forget about the aging of the ghee, which was very much prevalent in India. So he has given this ghee. This ghee is the saram or charu. That ghee the author has given us. And I must definitely say that, he has used the diacritical approach in the transliteration, but very intelligently, the author has used regular English in his translation. Only a scholar who needs to reach out to the common man will do this. Because if you use the diacritical approach for the common man, first is the difficulty in trying to follow, A. And B, today any word they put it into the internet and search for the meaning. If the diacritical format is put, it may not produce the desired results. He seems to have understood that very well and given it properly to us. I am grateful and very happy. Thank you, sir. So, first of all, we need patience to read Paduka Sahasram. Adari kruto api mahata tameva seveta sadaram bhushnu alabata samaye ramat padakrantapi paduka rajyam. This is to develop patience and achieve greatness. Whoever wishes to prosper further must serve the great personage who has given him an opportunity to serve him. This is borne by the Paduka, which was worn by Rama and served him. The Paduka was later rewarded with the throne of Ayodhya in Rama's absence. And people worship the Padukas with the same devotion as they worship Lord Rama. This is a lesson in patience which ultimately brings greatness. 99% hard work, 1% patience. That is the sugar in the milk and the salt in the food. That is the patience. If that patience is there, then I think everything will be given to us by the Paduka. The Paduka, I have been thinking for some time that the Rama temple in Ayodhya is coming up in a very big way. That the Shatari or the Paduka, let us start a movement. I'm making a public appeal with thanks to the book by Ramesh Garu, that a Swarna Paduka, gem-studded Paduka be made for Lord Rama and taken in a procession throughout the country and then taken to Ayodhya. And that will be fantastic. Let us start a movement to do that. Let the Paduka Devi or the Paduka travel throughout the country and go to Ayodhya to meet the Lord. for the mind to become pure. Yes, our mind needs to become pure because every day, like just as how the burning coal is getting covered with the dust which is created due to combustion, needs to be blown away. Reading of such books will help us to blow it away so that the real glow is visible. I am only thankful to my school teacher Bhaskar Iyer Garu for making me think in this way. And Paduka Bhavanam, many people have their houses named after the Paduka. And the author, it is a very easy read. It can, I would suggest that when he comes out with a regular book to put some appropriate pictures alongside to show somebody who's undertaking something, to show someone who's meditating, all as per the Visishtadvaita Sampradaya. I'm sure with all that, if it comes out, the book will be wonderful. I'm also given to understand that Srimati Vanjulavalli Narasimhan is in the process of writing the foreword for the book, or the preface. And Vanjula is none other than the name of Mahalakshmi Tayar at the Nachiyar Kovil temple, where the Kalgaruda Seva is very famous, and it is one of the 108 Divya Desams. Ayodhya is also one of the Divya Desams. And who is this Lord Ranganatha? None other than the Kuladevata of Lord Rama. Not for Lord Rama, but to his family. Ikshvaku Vamsa Kuladevata. This Kuladevata was given away to Vibhishana. That is another big story where he stays back on an island in the Kaveri. And that island can be compared to Vaikuntham itself, and Kaveri can be compared to the Vraja Nadi. And they say Kaveri is equal to Ganga or more than Ganga because of the Tulasnanam. Simply because, she touches the feet of Lord Ranganatha every day. Sapta Prakara Madhye Sarasi Janalaye, you have Elu Sutrukul Irkum or Yettu, Om Namo Narayana. Elu Sutru Kavinyar Vali says 7 circumambulations. Yettu is Narayana. Aravu மீது படுத்திருக்கும் ஓர் இரவு. Someone, Aravu is the serpent Adisesha. Iravu is the dark complexioned Ranganatha. He's lying down on it. All this is from poet Vali. Whatever I'm able to recall, I'm encouraged and motivated by the wonderful author to say all these words. I'm really, wherever he has searched, he kept on stumbling on Swami Desikar. I think he has the complete blessings of Swami Desikar. And Swami Desikar has composed so many things. And I'm sure the author perhaps might have even gathered himself to Thiruvahindrapuram at Kadalur, Devanatha Swami temple. That is the place, connected strongly with Swami Desikar, they say. I went there and came. Sir, now I want to pass over the opportunity to you. And now it is all yours. If you can talk about the Chitra Bandham and how it can be understood and what it is. I'll be grateful. Maybe we can make small talismans in silver or in copper with the Chitra Bandham and the text. And people can have it with them, pray to it every day and get the grace of the Paduka. Kanaka Mani Divya Paduka.
Sure, sir.
Sir?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. First of all, thank you, Rajesh sir, for this wonderful opportunity. And before I go into the Chitra Paddhati, there are 2 things which I would like to say. One is the Shreyas and Prayas. Shreyas is the knowledge which is connected with moksha, liberation. Prayas is the knowledge required for our day-to-day survival.
Okay.
And there are 2 incidents in Vedantha Desikacharya's life which I would like to narrate. One is similar to Sri Adi Shankara's Kanakadara, wherein Sri Desikacharya was challenged by the local people. A boy came up to him and said he wanted to get married, but he didn't have the money. So this was just to test Guru, whether he had any powers. And immediately Swamiji composed a sloka, and we could see Kanakadara, gold coins falling from the sky. And the boy was convinced, yes, there is a lot of power in the slokas of Desikacharya. That is one incident. And to prove the humility and humbleness of the Guru, there's one more incident wherein we know that Guruji used to go for Bhiksha every day. So one fine day when he came back home, he used to give the rice to his wife. And on one particular day, she found a small gold piece in the rice. She came and told Guruji, I found a small grain of gold in the rice. What should I do with it? And he very calmly and coolly he replied, it is a gold worm, a light worm, what we see in the night time. So take and throw it out. So that was his approach to wealth, gold and other things. So these two incidents they just occurred to my mind. And as I was saying, Shreyas and Prayas are two concepts which are there in our Hindu philosophy. And whether it is Valmiki's Ramayana or Bhagavad Gita, the Paduka Sahasram stands on the same footing as these great epics. And if we go deeper into the meanings, most of the slokas have a general meaning and a hidden meaning. And there's one more live incident which I would like to narrate, which happened after I actually wrote the book. And maybe in the revised version, I will add that also, which happened just a few days back. I'm talking about my wife's cousin who retired recently in 2019, but he didn't get his Provident Fund money since then for various reasons, which had to come from Bombay. Then when I met him 10 days back, I told him to chant a particular sloka from the book, and I sent him the sloka. And it is not even 41 days which I recommend for the sloka to take effect. I also chanted on his behalf. My wife also chanted on his behalf. And the very next day, his Provident Fund was released. So this, if it is not a miracle, what else it is? So it took place in just 3 days. So the day he came and he told me his problem, the next day I sent him the slokam, the third day he got his money. And so after that, so many other incidents have taken place, which I will share in the final copy of the book, definitely, in a separate appendix maybe. And now coming to the Chitra Paddhati, as Sir was saying, it is a beautiful concept which brings out the creativity of the author. I'm talking about Sri Desikacharya. The reason being that there was certain criticism. How can a person write 1008 slokas overnight? But he did it and he proved it. It is not a question of time. It is a question of your devotion to Ranganatha Swami and his Padukas. And his competitor who challenged him to do the slokas, to write the slokas overnight, he could do only 300 slokas overnight. And then he fell at the feet of Shri Desikacharya. So that apart, the creative process of Chitra Paddhati involves a lot of thinking. So basically what I did was, I have not done anything. I'm just like a courier boy. Whatever Desikacharya has given, I'm just giving it to society in a very simple form in whatever language I could understand. So the Chitra Paddhati, what I have done is using the software available these days. I had to redraw certain of his hand drawings and put in the colors so that people will understand better. So we'll just go through the PPT and I'll try to explain how the concept of Chitra Paddhati can be used to understand the slokas with meaning. And as Sir was telling, yes, definitely we can make it into coins or yantras, because the reason is people talk about visible and non-visible. So scientifically speaking, what is it that connects the visible with non-visible is nothing but the yantras, mantras, and tantras. So these are the media through which we connect the visible with non-visible, invisible. So when we can give our loving brothers and sisters a beautiful yantram, which is the Chitra Paddhati, I am very sure that it will help them in their life in many ways, and with the blessings of Lord Ranganatha, Sri Desikacharya, I'm sure our country will be blessed and we will move ahead spiritually in all directions. And now coming to the PPT, let me just start with the first chapter 3 for all-round welfare. If you see, there's a shloka, chapter 3, 933, 30.33. It goes like Papa, Da, Papa, it goes on like that. Now, the meaning of this shloka is the Paduka of the Lord who destroys sins and who has taken upon himself the task of protection is absolutely without a blemish. It brings brilliance to the Lord's feet. Its Abhisheka, water, offers protection to those who offer the Padukas to the Lord. Such a Paduka has saved me from all sins. Now, what is the symmetry in this beautiful sloka? If you see, you can see the split in the sloka. You have vowels, and when you split, you get beautiful meanings, which I have just told the meaning just now. And the beautiful symmetry you can see in the table. You see the slide, there's a table there. So the next slide, yes. So the beautiful symmetry, if we can memorize this table, we can easily understand the sloka, the position of the swaras, etc. Now, what more he has done, Sri Desikar? He has introduced the Chitra Paddhati. There are 8 petals. You go to the next, the next slide also. Yes, you can see 8 petals, 4 petals, etc. So if you see in the center of the petal, there is a pa, and surrounding that you have da, and again you have pa. So it is easy to actually visualize the shloka like this. For example, when we were studying in the lower classes, LKG and UKG, our teacher used to say CAT cat, RAT rat. But how many other times they say CAT cat, we might not have understood. But once the teacher showed us the cat, a live cat or a drawing, we were able to connect with CAT and the drawing immediately. So next time when the teacher says cat, we know our mind has been trained or tuned with the image of that particular animal. Similarly, the shlokas, they are also converted into beautiful Chitra Paddhati. So it is easy for us to visualize. So when we say the third chapter, shloka number 939, 30.29, immediately we know that there is a Chitra Paddhati and it reflects in our mind. So like that, Swamiji has given so many Chitra Paddhatis. Now let us go to the next chapter 5. For sins to be eradicated and potential for good deeds to grow. I'll just read the Sabhupa, that is the slokam. I think you can see it on the screen. The meaning is that Paduka of Sri Rama, which is always with Sri Rama and which represents worship of God, because the Padukas are all the time worshipping the Lord by staying at his feet. The Paduka which protects God's feet is full of compassion, like the Lord himself is the one that will protect us from our sins. No worship is complete without homage to the Padukas. The Lord's Padukas are compassionate as its virtue and drinks up all the sins of devotees. So that is a brief meaning of the shlokam. And Swami has put this in a beautiful format which is called the Muraja Bandha, the arrangement in the form of a drum. So you can see when he arranges the swaras or letters of the shloka, you can connect using the lines as shown, shloka 921, 30.11. It is easy to again visualize the shloka in the form of a drum. And again, I have put it in colors so that you follow the color pattern. Also, it is another aid to memorizing the shloka. So this is another beautiful Chitra Paddhati of the Lord. So it says Sa, Bu, Pa, Ra, Ma, Pa, Ra, Sta. If you connect the red colors. Similarly, you connect the blue colors and then the green colors. So you get the slokam as depicted by Sri Desikar Acharya. So the creativity he has brought in while depicting the shlokas and the Chitra Paddhati is really amazing. It is so simple also, because as it is, when you have to write 1008 shlokas overnight, it is a difficult task. And side by side, when you start thinking of Chitra Paddhati, it shows how much love and affection Sri Desikacharya has for his fellow beings, so that they can grasp the context and meaning of the shlokas he is trying to share with us for their own benefits. So the next shloka, the next slide, the sages, Kadupasya, the very first word, if you see, the sages whose food is water only meditate upon the padukas of Lord Ranganatha. The padukas are shining bright and adorned with beautiful garlands appropriately. So the respect shown to the padukas is evident. They travel with their Lord, who fulfills the prayers of his devotees. So the sages, we know the level of tapas they used to do. They used to survive on water only. Even such sages, they used to pray to the padukas to get the blessings. Similarly, you can see the corresponding Chitra Paddhati here. You have Ka in the center, and it is surrounded by the other swaras or letters surrounding Ka, Du, Sa, Lo, Ta, Ma, etc. So this again is the genius, creative genius of Sri Desikacharya. And if you observe carefully, he has shown a lot of Chitra Paddhatis using the lotus form, because I believe Ranganayaki is none other than Lakshmi Devi. So she likes the Padma, the lotus, very much. So I think he had that also in mind when he was trying to draw the Chitra Paddhatis. And the next sloka, The meaning is, O Padukas, you are worshipped by those in the family in this world, and to be recognized as the Purushartham in the other world, Mukti, liberation. I pray to you, your dear Lord's sacred feet. So, in this shloka, we find that Swami is requesting the Padukas to help him to get access to the feet of the Lord. So, such a beautiful, we feel like crying when we read these shlokas. So, because they're so ingrained, in depth in the heart of Sri Desikacharya, when he has come out with such outpouring, there's nothing but we can just offer our tears as our prayers to the Paduka. So, in this life which is a desert, and our shadows are our companions, the tears which we shed quench our thirst, and the cactus which we see in the desert are like our enemies, if we have any enemies. Our best enemies are within us: Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha. So the thorns of the cactus, when we see in the desert, it reminds us of that enemies. And the only thing which keeps us going in such a desert life is our namakam, or faith. Faith in what? Faith in the Padukas. So this is the small sloka which I have written as I was writing the book. This is a small sloka which I wrote about the comparison between the desert life and human life. So the faith is the most important in a person's life. But faith in what? The Padukas. So if you go to the next slide, I think he has gone into the... Okay, I'll also go, yeah, okay. So if you see here, the Padukas have the following attributes, and worshipping to connect the people or persons trapped in the world to the sacred feet of the Lord. The Padukas protect the righteous. Dharmo Rakshati Rakshita. We know that Lord Rama is the epitome of Dharma. So the Padukas also represent that same concept of Dharma, because they have been traveling with him. The Padukas have all the richness under its control and distributes them according to its desires to devotees. So fulfillment of desires. It becomes a fit object for meditation and worship. Why? So just like we meditate on Om, even the Padukas, they are a symbol of meditation. So even when you chant the slokas given in the book Karya Siddhi Shlokas, if you visualize or meditate on the Padukas, they give you a lot of power for the slokas to have their full beneficial values. What else? They destroy the sins of devotees the moment they pray to it for protection. They have the power to travel throughout the world to eliminate the sorrows of those who seek its protection. Now coming to the Chitra Paddhati of this shloka, we very well know that Lord Hayagriva is the horse-faced avataram of Lord Vishnu. And Lord Garuda gave the mantra of Lord Hayagriva to Sri Desikacharya. So perhaps, as you can see here, we also call that piece in the chessboard as a horse. Sometimes we call it as a horse. So we also call it as a knight, but locally we say horse. So you can see the face of a horse here. So Hayagriva. So as a token of respect to Lord Hayagriva, perhaps Swamiji has composed this beautiful shloka. So I have put in the colors. If you see how the horse moves, the numbers are given there. If you see, number 1, Sthita. Then the horse goes to the right and then drops down 1 slide down. So it goes to Ta. So from Sti, Ta. Then from 2, from Ta, it again climbs up. So it goes up, traverses to the right, it ends up in Sa, the third number, number 3. So all the red letters, if you see, so you can find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, from 8, again the horse moves up. It goes to 9. Now, what happens if I put a red color at Ga, the 9th letter, at the top first row? People will get confused. So I have to put a different color. So I selected Ga as blue. So again, you follow the same steps of the horse. From 9, you go to 10, which is Ta. From 10, again, you go to 11, which is Ra. So again, you connect all the blue letters. Finally, you will end up with a green letter. Again, for easy understanding of the movement of the horse, I have given different colors. So that way, the shloka is embedded in this small chessboard as a tribute to Lord Hayagriva. Perhaps, maybe that may be my intuition or imagination. And now, if you go to the next slide, it is even more interesting. If you write the letters connecting 1, 2, 3, all the red letters, if you put it on the first row of a table. Similarly, all the blue letters, you put it on the second row. All the green letters, you put on the third row. The last row, all the black letters. So 930. So the beauty of this is, from one shlokam, how Swami has derived another shlokam without deviating or violating any grammatical rules. Of course, that does not even arise. The thought itself does not come. But for a normal person like me, this is something amazing. There may be hidden codes in this, which perhaps a little bit of research will bring out. Definitely, I think there is some hidden code in this kind of setup. Some research has to be done. So pranams to Guru Desikar for the astounding and intricate framework. Now let us go to the next Chitra Paddhati. Go Mutrika Bandham. Go means cow, Mutrika is urine. So his love for the animal, go, cow. He is such a keen observer that the respect he has shown, or even we show to the cow, the divine animal, the Mutrika, the urine, the way it urinates, the cow. He has used that also as a Chitra Paddhati. So he has written a, let's read the meaning. Hope, the radiant energy is unique. The sun's rays destroys the eternal darkness in this world. Your radiance, on the other hand, has the power to destroy the very dark, evil nature of men and transform them into pious beings. Just as the sun removes the darkness, as soon as the sun comes, the darkness vanishes. So by praying to the Padukas, the darkness, the ignorance that is there in every one of us, the moment we pray to the Padukas, the brilliance it shows, it removes the ignorance in us within a fraction of a second. So you are a jewel on the feet of Sri Rama. I have all faith that you, with your divine grace, will save me by destroying me from all my sins. So, Hey Paduka, you saved the good earth from all evils. When Sri Rama left for the forest, you protected all the regions of the earth. The entire earth was protected by the Padukas. But Rama himself had to bear the brunt of the stones, the thorns in the forest. But I have a feeling that even though he was walking barefoot, the Padukas were still protecting him. The aura of the Padukas was still protecting him. You are pure radiance. You are a beautiful ornament in any assembly. You protected the earth. You remain united with the feet of the Lord. You have authority and no one can stop you. So the Padukas and the feet of the Lord are not different. Both are seen. Now, Guru Desika has put just two slokas in a formation called Gomutra Bandham, which I go to the next slide. He has put it first in the form of a table. The next slide, please. Yes. So the sloka has been put in the form of a table, two slokas. And if you see the next slide, you can actually see how the Gomutra looks like. The next slide, please. Yes. So again, just writing the sloka letters and connecting them, you can see how the Gomutrika Bandham is demonstrated by Sri Desikacharya. So this is another wonderful. I don't think anyone else has done this Gomutrika Bandham, because if you look at other Chitra Paddhatis of other great eminent scholars, they have shown Chitra Paddhati in the form of a snake or a sword or something like that. But I think only Swami has shown it in the form of a Gomutrika Bandham. I may be wrong, but from my analysis, I think. And now coming to the example from the 29th chapter, the next slide. For the job undertaken to succeed without any hindrance, the Padukas have taken refuge in Lord Rama, who is of calm and firm intellect. So the nature of Lord Rama is also reflected in the Padukas. When the Padukas travel with Lord Rama, they generate a loud and majestic nadam, the sound, which brings joy to all listeners. So when Rama walks with the Padukas, a beautiful scintillating sound, the nadam, which is nothing but again Omkaram. Because Rama, the word Rama, my imagination tells me every step that Rama takes with the Padukas also chant Rama. So they say Ram, Ram, Ram as he walks. So such a beautiful thing. So if you see the Chitra Paddhati, it is the Padukas depicted in the center. The shloka is embedded here. And if you see in the center, between the two Padukas, there is a letter Ra. So this Ra is in the slokam. And if you read the slokam very slowly, if you observe the toes, there also you can find the letters of the slokam. Sa, Ra, Ti, Rama, Padava, Ni, Sa. Now, the center Ra connects the other letters of the Chitra Paddhati. So if you read it, come slowly. Ta, Ra. If you look at the top of the petals, Ta is there. Connect it with the Ra in the center of the Ra, which is in the middle of the Paduka. So Ta, Ra. You go to the next petal, Swa. So that is again connected with Ra in the center. The next letter is Ta. So Ta is connected with Ra. Again you have Swa, again connected with the middle letter Ra. Then after that, if you see, you have sa, ba, ra, ra. So if you look at the diagram carefully, look at the toes, you will find these other letters are there. So the first sa, pada, vani, it is very clear there. The toes have the pada, vani, sa. And again it is ending with ra. So the first sloka is depicted like this. Coming to the second slokam, second part, di, yi. So you see here, again the same concept. It is connected with the ra in the center. Swai. Swai is again connected with ra. Cha. If you come to the left side of the petals, cha is connected with ra. Sti, ra. Then you see again ra is connected with gu. Now, where is this gu? It is on the left paduka. If you see, there are three letters, va, pu, and gu. So that is connecting ra, gu, pu, ra, vasa, rati, rama, sava. So Raghupura Vasa. So I just broken down the letters for your easy understanding. So what a genius. So finally, when he is surrendering all the shlokas to Lord, he has put it in the form of a paduka, the Chitra Paddhati itself. So this is something, yes, I think we have to do namaskaram to his genius. And I'll just share one small experience which happened recently. Of course, I was not well for a few days and I was admitted into the ICU. And as you know that ICU, it is a lonely place which is surrounded by a lot of machines. So there was a BP machine which was attached to my hand in the ICU. So in the night 8:30, I was not getting sleep because the machine was giving a beep sound. So I converted that beep sound into Rama. So each time the machine gave a beep sound every second, my heart was saying Ram, Ram, Ram. So entire night it was Ram, 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 Ram. The next day when they took me to the operation theater, they didn't find anything in my heart. Isn't it a miracle? The doctor was amazed. So whatever calcium deposits were found just one day before in the X-ray scan of my heart, it vanished overnight just by chanting Ramanama. What great power is there in that single word. So thanks to Swami Guru Desikacharya for this wonderful practical method to open ourselves spiritually and offer ourselves to the Padukas of Lord Rama. Nothing more is necessary in life. You surrender, Saranagati. So total surrender, Lord will take care of all your requirements. It is physical, mental, spiritual, everything. So thank you, sir, for this wonderful opportunity. I think it is a blessing of Guru Desikacharya. And another wonderful vision I had in Tirupati during the Corona period was when I had darshan of the Lord and came back down. I was staying in my friend's house. I was just watching the 7 hills from their terrace. Everything vanished for a few minutes. Lord Venkateshwara was there. His feet were on the ground. The Kiritam was somewhere in the Akasham. Vishwarupa darshan I had of Lord Venkateshwara. I am really blessed. I do not know Purva Janma Sukritam, whatever it is. So, yes, that's the right one, sir. Wonderful. So thank you so much, sir. And I have no words to thank you. So wonderful to share with my beloved friends, relatives. Thank you very much, Rajesh, sir.
I'm very grateful to you and to your wife Sridevi and also to my dear friend Rajgopal for giving me this opportunity to interact with you today. And today is supposed to be a very important day when Kalyana Utsavams are taking place in all the temples. Panguni Uttaram in Tamil Nadu, they say. So, and also the Paduka Sahasram, which came to me in my life during a very troublous moment. And I really do not know how I traversed. And the traversing has been possible through the Padukas of Lord Ranganatha. And it is really miraculous for me personally to come back to the Padukas through my dear friend and through you who are also my dear friend. I'm very, very grateful and happy. And we are using the Desi app called Vayam for this program. And additionally, we have a lot of audience. Hundreds of thousands of people have been reading the Verandah Club over the last year and a half almost. And this is the first, sacred work that we have taken up online with the Shlokam and with the Chitra Paddhati. I'm grateful to you, sir. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.